Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for the BTQ Health Home Portal Reports training. My name is Alita, and we've got Ben Barr and Ed Randazzo here who are going to take us through the training. We're going to go through the administrative reports and then the billing reports as well. All right, thanks so much. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'll hand it over to Ben.
Hi everyone, this is Ben from BTQ. So this training is conducted in the BTQ Portal training environment. All of the data during this training is not real patient data. There will be no PHI displayed during this training. So before we dive into the workflow and the reports and the life of a claim, I just want to let you know about some general tips that can save you a lot of time and energy when you're using the portal. There's a SIN search field in the upper right corner that's going to be live within a week. You can use this to find a member by SIN, or also known as Medicaid ID, from any page. Remember, Medicaid ID is the primary identifier for a member. You can also search by first name and last name. You can also download any report as a Microsoft Excel compatible CSV file. Wherever you see the blue download CSV link, it's usually in the upper right corner of any report. It's very convenient. You can do all sorts of sophisticated things in Excel with the report. And then the last general suggestion is be aware that if you see a yellow clear filters button, that means that there is a filter active. If you don't want there to be any filters on your report, all you have to do is click on the yellow clear filters button and all the filters will go away. Some reports do have filters on by default when you navigate to them, so just keep in mind that if you don't want the filter, you have to click on the yellow clear filter button. If you ever get stuck, there are all sorts of resources you can take advantage of to receive support. We have a help desk. Their email is hhsupport@btqfinancial.com. You can reach out to the help desk whenever you like. Their email address is at the bottom of the page, of every page of the portal. You can also call them at this number, 646-699-4969. We have help pages that each page has. If you click in the upper right corner, click on help, and then click on help again. Some pages have quick 1 to 3 minute crash course instructional videos. Some pages have written instructions. There's also an FAQ where you can find answers to all sorts of frequently asked questions. There's also resources that you can download from the FAQ. There's guides, manuals, etc. And of course, there's these trainings. We have these trainings on an ongoing basis. Currently, we're having them every Tuesday. So just some things to keep in mind is use the portal so that you don't get stuck and that you can get assistance quickly. So I'm going to take us through some of the tracking reports, and then I'm going to pass it off to Ed, who's going to take us through some of the billing managerial reports, as well as go through the life of a claim. So the first report we're going to look at is called the New York State Enrolled versus Billed Report. Now, this report will also be covered by Ed later on because this is a multi-purpose report. You can access that by clicking on Billing, and then NYS Enrollment versus Billed. This report will show you a summary level view of all the members that are on the MAP enrollment file for your agency. Now, this is important because being on the enrollment file is the first step on the life cycle of a claim, and Ed's going to talk all about that during this section of the training. But you need to be aware of which of your members are on the enrollment file, as well as those that are not. Now, each column here ties to a service month. This top section is the members who are on the enrollment file. We have an estimated dollar amount for those if we were to hypothetically bill for all of them. And then we also get into those billed and not billed. Now, if you'd like to see who those members are, all you have to do is click on this number, any number, and it will drill down to the member level detail. So I've just switched over to a different report. Suppose I want to see who these 12 members are who are enrolled. All I have to do is click, and it will take me to the member level detail. Now remember, because I clicked on October, there is a filter active for October. If I've changed my mind, I can clear filters. So here are those members. And as always, as I mentioned before, I can download this into Excel if I like, if that would be convenient for me. Now this report has all sorts of information that pertains to billing that Ed is going to cover. But right now, understand that each of these represents a member in the service month. Because I've clicked on October, there are no duplicate members in this list. And these are those members that are on the enrollment file, and that's the very first step on the road to billing. Now, BTQ is transmitting members to the enrollment file to MAP every day for most health homes. And we also receive encounter level data every day for most health homes. But there are cases where we'll submit a member to MAP, and MAP will return an error. And at that point, the error must be addressed before the member can make it back onto the enrollment file. BTQ will cumulatively track all of these, we call them tracking errors. That's what the state calls them. So you never have to worry about losing a tracking error. We will always have it in our report until such time as the error is resolved. So that report can be accessed by clicking on Patient Management and NYS Tracking Errors. Now, this report will take you straight to the detail by default, and it will filter to the current month by default, so you can always look at the most up-to-date errors. However, if you would like to address earlier errors, you can clear the filter and view everything. If you'd like to see the summary level information, you can do so in the Summary tab. Now, there's also an Aging tab, which will tell you how old each of the errors is. This Summary tab will just tell you basic information. How many of this error is there? How many unique members have errors? Because it's possible for one member to have multiple errors. Now, here in the Aging view, this is where you can see how old is each error. By default, they're rolled up into quarters. But if you like, you may break it out by months by checking off the Display Months checkbox. So here I can see, okay, there were 13 errors in the service month of November, and they were for 10 unique members. So maybe 3 members had 2 errors, for example. And you can view the detail as we were before in the Detail tab. We suggest that as you look at this report, there is a guide on tracking errors. You can review it. You can download it by accessing the FAQ page of the BTQ portal. If you like, you can even print it out and have it by your side so you know which errors BTQ is working, what BTQ is doing to work the errors, and if there's anything that your agency can do. So essentially, that's it when it comes to basically the first step of billing. We've got to get members onto the enrollment file. You can see summary level of that using the NYS enrollment versus billed report, and then you can drill down from that report into the enrollment file report. Members who don't make it onto the enrollment file will be in the tracking error detail report. Now, it is possible that a member is not on the enrollment file and they're not in the tracking error detail report. And what we've seen, particularly with this reconciliation that we're doing with the state, is that a major root cause is that encounters were not entered into your electronic medical record, into your health home leads electronic medical record. So that has to happen. If you see a member that you're working with and they're not on the enrollment file and they do not have a tracking error, make sure that you've done the proper documentation in your health home's EMR. Otherwise, BTQ won't know that you've done that work with that member, and we won't know that we need to add them to the enrollment file and subsequently bill and get you paid. So on that note, there is another piece to it. Once we've gotten the members onto the enrollment file, there are next steps and there are still actions that you have to take, and there are reports that you can leverage in the BTQ portal that will help you understand what actions you need to take and what issues there are, if any. And I'm going to pass it off to Ed Randazzo, who's going to review the billing reports.
Thank you, Ben. Let's go through the portal and look at the life of a claim once it's been billed. And also, we're going to look at the things that were not billed that maybe you expected would have been billed. So our main report, once you have submitted all your claims and they go out for billing, is what we call the monthly submission report. So we are, as Ben said, we are in the test system, so we do not have data for everything. But you're going to use this report to see what claims were transmitted. Now, BTQ is, right now what we're trying to do and what we will be implementing for everybody is that we will be billing every single week. What that means is every Friday, we're going to get approval from the health home lead that all the claims are valid and ready to be billed. And then we will be billing every Monday and Tuesday. As you know, anything submitted to Medicaid by end of day Wednesday will be on that Medicaid cycle. They close for that week. If you miss it, it's going to be delayed by a week. So we're going to be billing every single week on your behalf. Now, currently, this report will update for you the week after. Very important. Now, we are looking at the timing of reports and working on how things are updated, but just so you know, the monthly submission report will update on Sunday nights. So anything submitted on Wednesday at this point will show up on Monday. We do get a lot of questions about that, so that's a key thing to remember. Now, what is this report good for? Obviously, we know that come December 1st, there's some significant changes in the billing. The most important of which is that Medicaid is where we will be sending all of the claims until April. As we know, historically, there has been some delay in the MCO payments, and we do know that that system will be changing in April. But for the current system, and not knowing when the MCOs will go live, this report will be very important to track your revenue. If you look in this report and you see that all of the claims are Medicaid, then you can pretty much, write it down that money will be coming in 3 to 4 weeks later, and there won't be any delays. If you look at your monthly submission report and you see that there's a whole bunch of an MCO, then you know that, that could take up to 120 days or longer. We do know that come April, the goal is that the MCOs will have all of the claims in their system, much like a CPT model, and that they will be getting several months in advance to pay health home claims. So we do hope that, those delays are not an issue any longer. But under our current system and what we know, this report would be useful for tracking when your future income would come in. All of these reports have detail and summary level views, very important. You can go back and take a look at what was submitted for a given month, and that will tell you all the claims that were submitted in this instance for June 2016. So very important. The good thing is until April, all we'll be seeing is Medicaid MLTC claims in this report, and will be paid very quickly, so that's great. So that's telling you everyone that you billed for, but then you may look and say, well, I thought I was billing for a whole bunch more claims. What's going on? We told you about the delay from Wednesday to Sunday when the report updates, but then you want to go back to the New York State enrolled versus billed report and look for things that were not billed. Very important, for anyone who's a direct biller, the indirect billers are pretty set with this by now. Everything starts at the front end. You must get everything entered into your EMR accurately and timely, or it will not make it through tracking into billing. We know that, there are certain things that must be done so that you have a billable claim. It must be eligible, which is also health home eligible, not just Medicaid eligible, and we will touch upon that. You must have a valid billable encounter. They must have an HML completed, and the patient must be on the New York State enrollment file. So all of that is very important. If that's done, you're going to come in and see, what was billed, what was not billed. So this is a high-level summary. Health homes can go in and look at the provider, and again, anything's downloadable into Excel, so keep that in mind. But some of the fields on this report tells you what patients are on the New York State enrollment file and breaks them down by enrolled versus outreach, and then it will turn those into potential dollars. So how many claims and how much money could those potential claims be worth if you had billed for everybody? That will give you a baseline to see how you're doing and who was not billed. Now it will tell you who was actually billed for what money. Now the important part is to go down and start to examine what issues you may have with the people who are not billed. And as we said, there are several reasons why. They could not have satisfied one of those billing rules, or maybe that the patients were not seen at all. But it's all here, and now you want to break down into the specific reasons why patients were not billed when you may have satisfied most of those requirements. And the first place to look is the missed claims report. So the missed claims report, it has two major categories. Medicaid eligibility and HML being completed. So we'll start with Medicaid eligibility. We get a lot of questions on the fact that, we get a lot of calls and say, look, I looked in eBendy and this patient is eligible for Medicaid. Why were they not billed? Why are they showing up as not eligible for Medicaid in the PTQ portal? And what we did now is we break it out to look for the RE codes and the coverage codes. There's a whole list of claims or coverage codes on the Medicaid website, also located in the portal, that will give you specific reasons why a patient, although may be Medicaid eligible, is not eligible for health home. Most of the codes indicate that the patient is enrolled in another program, which is contrary to the health home program. For instance, someone's in a nursing home, assisted living, things like that. If those codes are on the profile for a given month, that patient is not health home eligible. When a patient is not either Medicaid or health home eligible, they do not get billed. They get put in this queue before the billing goes out. The reason being is we don't want to spend that time to upload it to Medicaid or the MCOs when we know that there's an issue. Medicaid eligibility, the patients will only be backdated 3 months. After 3 months of not getting the patient recredentialed, that money will be unrecoverable. So really, this is one of your priority queues each month to make sure that you're going in, looking at what patients are not eligible and seeing if they can be recredentialed. For the RE codes, we do get a lot of questions about those. What we've been told by Medicaid is that some may be able to be removed. Some may be on the profile incorrectly. And the only way to really know is to call your local Social Security office and see if you can get that code removed. Obviously, if the patient is a conflicting program, the first thing that needs to be done is to ensure what is best for the patient and which program they should be in. But after 3 months, Medicaid eligibility will not be recoverable. So now we have the HML. HML is something that should have been completed since April. It's been required, and come December, it will actually affect the rates that are paid to your agency for each visit. This report does break it down by missing HML, where we just don't have it and it wasn't completed, and where an HML does not indicate there's a core service, so it is not a billable activity. It's very, very important that HML is completed right away. The state says within 14 days, that's really what needs to occur. In this example, you see that the money due to HML not being completed does start to pile up and age. This is a very generous report with very few dollars, but I can assure you, if you miss a significant amount of HML, it does build up quite quickly. It's a bad habit to get into extending the HML for a few months, especially when Medicaid really should be billed within 90 days. For those who don't know, the only reason that we can bill up to 2 years is that the health home program has a special modifier in place during its implementation, which allows us to bill 2 years, but we don't know how long that'll last. And it's best practice to get the HML completed within 14 days. So you don't want that to pile up. You want to take care of it. So once you know that, it's not an HML or an eligibility issue, this is not a significant issue, but we do want to touch on it real quickly. There are certain cases that are rejected from the MAP file when they are uploaded. So this is the last second rejection. These are claims that seem to satisfy all of the rules at the time and are uploaded to MAP for billing every week. And they're actually kicked out as non-billable. Like I said, it should be very few. Not going to spend a lot of time on it, but you want to make sure that you look at this queue to see if that's where the claim is. The real thing that we're seeing is invalid RE codes, which means that even though we checked on the front end, the patient was eligible, and then something happened to retroactively make them not eligible, and this claim then falls out. All right. So now, once everything is in and things have been billed, we want to get to our main report, which is my favorite, the AR summary report. This is where I spend my entire day, and I'm sure that a lot of you will too. Something that I want to touch on real quick, because we do get a lot of questions on it, is how can we maintain our own AR in our own billing system? Not such an easy answer. So the BGQ portal has absolutely everything you need to track your AR, revenue cycle, and finance. However, we do know that some agencies are insistent, at least for the beginning of the program, that they want to track payments in their own system. Briefly, we can get on that later. You can contact me personally. We will be able to generate 835 files. However, we need to work with you to make sure that they can be uploaded automatically into your system. It's not the most recommended way because, as I said, the BGQ portal has all the data there for you. But we can talk about that offline if it's something your agency is really interested in doing. So this is your basic AR report. Right now, we have it broken out automatically into current, 0 to 120 days, and over 120 days. The reason that we do that is because the MCOs were significantly delayed, and what we were finding is that if you looked any quicker than 120 days, you didn't have an accurate reflection of where the claim was at that time. Now, especially when everything's going to Medicaid, we assume that everything will be paid in 4 weeks, and we won't need to break it out like this. However, this is our traditional way of doing it so that we can monitor MCO performance and know when we need to resubmit claims. So you have, this is your default view. We have date of service versus date of submission. And the only difference there, like I said, date of submission will tell you when the claim was actually sent, and date of service will tell you the date of service that the encounter incurred. You know, when you're following up, you really want to look at date of submission on the MCO. And when you're looking for overall performance, you want to look at date of service and see how much was collected for those specific dates of service. The report date has several shots where you can go back and look at the historical data on the report date. And we have a drop down for provider, which obviously for CMAs, it's only going to be yourself. And then we have the payers. If you wanted to look at a very specific payer and see how they're doing, you would use that drop down. Very important, like I said, the portal has everything. You can download everything into Excel, or you can click on any one of the fields and it will also take you to the specific data behind those numbers. You can break it down by quarters, and once you do that, you can break it further down into months. So as you go back in time, and MCOs, after several rounds of rebilling or whatever needs to be done, you should see that your collection percentage increases. Now, BTQ, our target with MCO billing under the current restrictions that we have, aim to collect 92% or greater after 120 days. And we were very successful at that. All of our health homes were between 92 and 96, 97 usually. What happens is that there then is a whole bunch of rebilling that needs to occur for the MCOs to make sure that we can collect the remainder. And we do have a specific report on the denials. We'll get to that in a few minutes. On this report, denials are not final until there's a final adjudication by the payer. We know that they're not going to be collected. And then what we'll do is we'll submit them to the health home for CMA approval to be written off. The only things that are really written off and final are anything that is eligible, not eligible for health home over 3 months, or the dreaded pay to another provider denial. We do expect that denial will be greatly reduced come December, but very importantly, on the side of the direct billers, you want to make sure all of your providers are on the enrollment file, or you may get some pay to another provider denials. When you're looking at your AR, do you want to really see how the MCOs are doing come April? You would click on the AR by payer tab, and then you have your breakout by payer with your totals at the top again. So as you scroll down, you would look for Medicaid MLTCs. All of those go to Medicaid. They should be paid in 3 to 4 weeks with no issue. And then you would be able to look at an MCO and download that AR and see how they're doing if you so desire. BTQ, obviously we don't know exactly what's going to happen with the MCOs in April, but we do have monthly meetings with all of them. We do weekly rebilling of any claims that were incorrectly denied or anything that they did not get through the HCS or MAP portal now. And we're constantly sending them everything that's open and any remits or checks that we have to make sure that we have absolutely everything. So this is one of the main reports. Like I said, you can download everything into Excel. That would be all of your data. And really, that's what some of the finance departments have chosen to do. Download that, and then they can go ahead and do whatever financial data or data entry that they need to accomplish. One of the big categories, very important categories that we get a lot of questions on is the denial category. There are 2 categories really of denials. Any claim can have up to 5 reasons, but really they boil down to several issues. There's hard denials and soft denials. Most of the denials can be rebilled over and over again until we get paid if we fix the issue. Things like demographics, locator code, rate code, modifiers missing, and BHQ will do all of that rebilling on your behalf. However, there are a few that we really need your help on, and the biggest one obviously is the eligibility. If a patient is not eligible, then it's going to be denied. After 3 months, it's going to be a final denial and it cannot be billed again. If somebody gains eligibility in the subsequent month, the BHQ portal will automatically sweep and rebill on your behalf. You do not have to do anything. So that's very good, very important. Last report I want to show you is if you don't have, the luxury of hearing my beautiful voice teach you these things, you can go to this Health Home Summary. And what this Health Home Summary does is pretty much tell you the entire story in one quick snapshot. So when you come in, everything is collapsed. You would want to expand all, and you kind of get the whole overall picture. It'll give you a quick snapshot of what's been billed and paid in a given week. Also give you the link to the actual report so that you can go in and get the patient level detail if that's what you wanted. It gives you a quick snapshot of the AR summary, kind of what we went over, but just the top high level view. And then we'll tell you who are the top 10 MCOs with OpenAR. This takes the denials out and lets you see where is the bulk of your money. And then you can, follow up with us, and BHQ will tell you exactly what's going on with each one of these payers and what was the outcome of our last call. Where is your money? When is it coming? When are we getting the remit? That kind of thing. Then we have our denial breakdown. We'll tell you all of the denial categories, and you can use that to see, if they're hard denials or soft denials, if there's anything you can do to fix them. Also, if you have any questions about what any of these things mean, you can hover over the question mark and it will give you a quick breakdown. Lastly, it talks about ineligible patients. How many patients do we have that are not eligible? Missed claims. Obviously, you saw the detailed report. You can click on that, but this gives you a high level so you can kind of see how the money is adding up. Then it gives you your enrollment status. How many patients on the enrollment file? How many did I bill for? What was the potential bill and what was the actual bill? So you can get a quick high-level view and see if you have a big problem in a given month, and then go to the correct reports to try and fix that.